Please note, this session is being recorded.
Guru Nation, welcome to another episode of Random Musings from the Clinical Trials Guru. The first time we're going to do a podcast here with guests are able to come in live as they see fit, and maybe they'll even become part of the podcast because we do this quarantine meetup every day. Links are in the show notes for as long as the lockdown is going to be in effect. I think another month of this, mid-May is my guess as to how long these daily. What's that?
It needs to be over tomorrow. Period.
I think a good another month, and we're back to normal-ish. And normal-ish meaning no more daily quarantine meetups.
Yes,
Because
nuts.
I know sites. Our former coordinator got hired by this bigger place, so he's working right now, like with masks and everything. So, sites are working. Patients are coming in. Not in full force like they were before, but another month will be okay. I have a good feeling about the warmer weather. And of course, you get all this stuff about the virus mutating and all that. It's already mutated 1,000 times since it came out. So, we don't know if it's mutating for the better, for the worse, or if they're irrelevant mutations.
I thought we had an actual number on that from one of the physicians we know. I thought they said 47 mutations.
I don't know. I said 1,000. I would trust him. I don't know. I read something earlier today. And you know what? The point is, there's going to be sensationalist headlines right now. It's April 20th. There's the new headlines is going to be second wave is going to be deadly. Well, of course, you can say that even if one person dies. Okay? I mean, they just want hysteria because that's what media companies do, right? So, not to say this isn't dangerous. I'm not saying that. I'm all for staying at home unless you absolutely have to. But I think another month of this will be okay.
I think we should have done it like Sweden or Switzerland. I don't remember which, but one of them.
Both of them.
No precautionary measures at all.
Both of them did that. Sweden and Switzerland.
So they're getting chewed out right now for having, per capita more deaths, but they're not going to have a second wave. There will be no second wave.
Yeah, but you know what? Their economy, I mean, here's the thing. Everybody's economy is tied into the global economy. So it doesn't even matter if you're a country that doesn't do this or does, because global economy is all connected.
I don't agree with that because they still are having their entertainment sector open, right? You can still go to restaurants, they're super busy. You can still go to bars, they're super busy. Go bowling, whatever they do, right?
Right.
Unlike here, all of those sectors are completely squashed, right, or quashed. They're out of business completely,
right,
and will be for the foreseeable future. It's completely different there, and there's definitely economic value there.
Yeah, I think it's definitely short term, but long term, I think it's everybody's connected. Long term, because we got trade deficits. The rich nations have trade deficits. So the rich nations rely on high consumer spending. The poor nations rely on increased imports from the government or exports from the government. So all these things are connected. No matter if you're a country that shuts down or short term, you're right. I think long term doesn't matter.
Okay, it does matter, but it doesn't matter to the extent I think you're making it seem. For example, take China, right? China does not allow their dollars, whatever their currency is, does not allow their dollars to leave China, right?
Right.
So to make sure it's all spent there, right? So what percentage of their economy is based on foreign dealings? 20%?
They're 30% consumer spending. We're 70%. So the other 70 of theirs is relying on exports to us.
Right. So I'm using China as an example here, right?
Yeah.
So you're saying 30% of their spending leaves the country.
No. 30% of their GDP is consumer spending in their country.
So you're saying 70% of their spending is outside the country?
No, 70% of their GDP relies on their exporting to other countries.
Right. So it's dependent upon other countries.
Exactly. 70%.
Okay. All right. So it's the
And
reverse
other
here.
countries and the high consumer countries, US is the opposite. It's 70% consumer, 30% we rely on our exports, right? But we rely on China's cheap goods to fuel our consumerism.
Which is
Because,
going to change.
yeah, but it's going to be painful because for that to truly change, like black and white, like truly change, just binary from off to on, it's going to require American wage to be the average worker to work 9 to 9 every day, including Saturdays, and only have a monthly salary of 1,400 for us to compete with China.
So that's not going to happen.
Exactly.
I've already watched and read things on what they expect will happen. It's all going to go to Vietnam and Mexico. So,
and we have slightly better trade. So we have a huge trade deficit with China, but with those two countries, I don't know. We probably don't have a trade deficit.
So Mexico and Vietnam will become the new China.
Okay. Yeah. So but again, the point is we're all connected, economically, but bringing it back home or bringing it back to what by home I mean clinical research industry. Uh, why is now a good time for sites to be applying for studies? Because we just got off the phone with a client now. We had another client. Um, we had a few clients last week, and it was basically the same theme. Hey, the industry is in startup mode. You get all this stuff going on, but sponsors are doing feasibility surveys right now. So, what do you think about this? Like, what should sites be doing right now?
Well, they definitely need to be proactive in business development. I mean, most sites are not seeing patients as it is. So if you want to be doing something for your site proactively, then it's business development. That's the only thing you can be doing right now.
Right.
For a lot of sites, a lot of companies.
Right.
I mean, and they should be, just because it is busy right now in the site selection process.
Super busy.
Yeah, super busy.
So there's also opportunities for sites to, like, for example, Friday, as a CRA, now I'll put my CRA hat on. I'm doing a remote monitoring visit for my big site, Chris. They finally did it. They finally said, "Hey, we're gonna scan everything and send you all the source." So, this seems to be a problem for any size site, but especially the bigger ones, is getting these issues like scanning the source, scanning the reg, which this site already does regulatory scanning, and they already have all the IP stuff scanned even before coronavirus. The only thing they didn't have was their source. So now they're going to have source. But you have other sites that are completely paper. So now, not only can the monitors not monitor, but now the sites theoretically are not going to get paid. Because
Right.
usually a monitoring payment triggers, or sorry, usually a monitoring visit triggers a site payment.
Yep.
Right? So right now that's not happening. And the sites that are being proactive about having, for example, using our services, we provide all of our clients not just getting studies for you, but we give you guys the platform to do remote monitoring. It's called a virtual workspace, HIPAA compliant, 21 CFR Part 11. I hope we're going to continue to have access to that platform for a mighty long time, Chris.
That's not right.
Yeah, I mean, luckily there's other vendors. Wouldn't be difficult to switch, but still,
It
it's
would be
nice.
a pain.
It is, and I'm thinking I have to actually back up all of our CRO stuff once again and put it into Dropbox just to have a backup. But like sites that are being proactive about this stuff are gonna get paid, and sites that are not, I mean, you're not gonna get paid unless usually a monitor comes to SDV, right?
Right.
So it's more than just applying for studies for sites what they should be doing. And this is one of the reasons why you and I are launching our telehealth, e-patient reported outcomes, and virtual trial, hybrid virtual trial vendor service for sites and for sponsors. Because this disruption, I mean, it's a huge disruption, of course, but it's something that technology can help alleviate at least the majority of the issues, in my opinion. as far as getting paid, as far as seeing patients and doing the bare minimum needed. Even like we go a step further with our vendor, and we send phlebotomists and nurses. I got both vendors to email me stuff today. From the vendors we're going to use to send out mobile phlebotomists to patients' homes, nurses as needed to patients' homes. I've sent out so far like 35 emails. I haven't gotten back anything yet, but I'm going to keep
No
doing like.
responses at all? Like nothing?
So the most promising one was someone I already knew who I was texting with
Okay.
that I told you about, but I think he lost the project because he didn't know about this before we launched it. You know, this was like 3 weeks before we launched our product. But I have no issues with continuing to send more emails. I haven't even used LinkedIn yet to do it. You know, after this podcast, I'm going to use LinkedIn to do this. So, you know, I think there's a huge, huge opportunity there. And I think sites are missing out by not thinking about these things. You know, because sites are used to only thinking, okay, like we need to see our patients, we need to follow the protocol, and then somehow, you know, by magic, the monitors come and we get paid. Well, that's not even happening now. You know, there's no monitoring occurring unless sites are being proactive about scanning and putting everything into their virtual workspace. And Chris, you just went frozen on your end.
Well,
Are you okay?
refresh.
Are you
will
okay?
refresh.
Yeah, so what do you think?
Welcome everybody joining.
What do you think about this? How's it going, Monica? You're joining our live podcast right now. And we got Stephanie too. We're talking about sites that are being proactive about getting their source data reviewed by monitors. Very nice thing behind you, Monica. Grateful. You let's see. I like it. This is the thing we took from your office. You brought
This
it
is
now.
something that was stolen from Global.
It used to say "Hola, Cris."
Yeah, I
on
know.
it.
Where'd that go, Monica?
She got rid of it. So yeah, Monica, I think you're muted, but what do you think about this? Like, you know, sites are not getting paid right now if their monitors are not monitoring. And monitoring can happen remotely or it cannot happen. There's just two options. Or maybe the CRA is brave and comes to the site. You know, like some local CRAs are actually able to go. You know, but not every CRA, just because their CRO says it's okay for you to go, doesn't mean they're going to go. A lot of them prefer to do remote monitoring right now, you know, at least for another month. So sites that are not prepared, and it doesn't take much to get prepared, like find a solution. Contact me and Chris if you need help. We have a solution for you. Monica's going to be helping us with the solution as well. I still have to send you the slides, Monica, so that when you reach out to sponsors,
Okay.
you can let them know
Yeah.
about our products. But
I
what do you think
actually,
about this?
so we went yesterday to do the video of the office tour. So that will, if it's a site selection visit, then that will help. So
That
they
will
can
help,
see the
yes.
actual, they can see the actual site, and we show everything is needed for and answer the questions that normally they ask at the site selection visit. And then I think you can actually do the same thing for a regular visit. I mean, if you don't want to risk it, going to the site just one person, I don't think it will be a high risk. Then you can do it like live, like we're doing right now,
Right.
working with the CRC, with the CRC and the CRA, and the doctor if it's possible.
Oh, so you're talking about like the CRA is like in that screen, I'm the coordinator and I have my source data and I'm like, here, look at this page. And
Yeah,
then
I mean, if they feel more comfortable doing it like that, or like we were talking, uploading the documentation and then they have it there, and if they still need the contact with the study coordinator, then just set a time.
yeah. Yeah, me and Chris were talking about that because, you know, clients of ours, clients of DSCS in our site network, you know, they have the tools. They have the tools. You don't need to stop your monitoring visits. You know, we give everybody our virtual workspace. If as long as you're a paying client of ours, which right now is $12.99 a month, Okay, as long as you're a paying client of ours, we give you access to these virtual workspace. So now, if your monitor wants to monitor so that your site can get paid, because you won't get paid unless they monitor, right? You can upload these things to the virtual workspace. It's pretty simple. It's like using Dropbox. Okay, it's actually
And then you
easier.
can,
I use both. I think Dropbox. I think it's actually easier than Dropbox.
and they can still have the meeting. I mean, like the visit like this
That's right.
virtually.
That's right. And with your patient, we have a telehealth system for our sponsors and our patients, for sites to see patients. So, but also applying for studies is very important. We just got off the phone with another client before this meetup/podcast, and the client was saying, "Hey, I'm hearing that there's a lot of studies. Can you guys help us?" I said, "Of course, this is what we do." And then Chris started talking, as he normally does, and was able to convince them that, hey, this is a great idea. And then Monica's now coming on and saying, hey, we take it a step further. We're doing a video virtual tour of our site. Can you explain what you did, Monica?
So I went yesterday to do the video, and I explained where we are located, how far the nearest hospital is in the case of an emergency. And then, so I showed them where the office, I mean, inside the building where we were located, and then walk to our office, and start showing them everything and answer the questions that normally they ask. So if we have a storage area for all the laboratory stuff, like not the kits, but like boxes and the storage area. I show them that we have a restroom available to do the urine samples, um, and then the drug room, the IP, and I show them that we do all I mean, that we do the temperatures, that we take the temperature, and have that up to date. Show them the whole clinic. I mean, answering all the questions that they normally in the for the site selection visit. So we show them the exam room too, where the CRA is going to be located in the case they go to do a visit. That we have available Wi-Fi and the fax, and I mean, I show the whole office. So it's, I mean, and I made it. No, I made it entertaining. No, not a boring video. And it took me 7 minutes to walk around the clinic and show everything they need, and see, to make sure that we have everything for a study.
Have you sent this to anyone yet?
I will be sending it as soon as I get the date from the doctor. I'm gonna send it with that email.
I gotcha. These outside of the box thinking is what sites need to be doing right now. And I still have to send you the slides for our hybrid virtual trial solution for sponsors and for sites. And by the way, a lot of these things are going to last for months now. Not every patient's going to be comfortable coming to the clinic. The ones that are, fine, they're going to come, but the ones that are not, rather than not enrolling them in the study, you should plug and play your hybrid virtual model, which we offer for sites and for sponsors. So, having telehealth, having patient reported outcomes, having informed consent, having medical personnel go to the patient's homes to do vitals, draw blood, ECG, dispense the IP, return the IP, all those things. It's actually, when you break it down, it's really not that complicated. I mean, there are studies where it is complicated, but if you break it down, it's really not that complicated.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's having everything just put in place and organized.
That's right. That's right. Chris, we're doing our webinar next week too. I think it was the same topic, wasn't it? On what sites should be doing, or no, it was more general, like how to thrive even in a bad economy, even though I don't think that's the case. I don't think for research this is a bad economy. I think for research this is going to be actually a good economy. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could be. I mean, time will tell. Hindsight's 2020, but all indications seem to appear that yes, it will be good once we're allowed to go back to work. But again, who knows? Who knows?
I mean, feasibility. We're seeing tons of feasibility surveys. Monica's seeing a bunch, right, on a regular basis. Psychiatry. What are some areas that are very hot right now, Monica?
I've been seeing a lot of Alzheimer's still, like last year and the year before.
That's an interesting group. Alzheimer's is the most interesting group right now because, okay, with Alzheimer's, you take coronavirus out of it, okay? Take coronavirus out of the equation. It's still the most difficult, one of the most difficult therapeutic indications to recruit for. But now you add coronavirus on top of it, and these are people at risk. I mean, elderly. Usually
High
people with
risk.
Alzheimer's are high risk. So this is a perfect case study for this hybrid virtual trial model for sites. And I know last week we had a few sites on these meetups, and they're concerned, okay, if we start switching to this virtual trial model, how is that going to affect site budgets? And I said, it's going to affect site budgets for the studies that were designed to be virtual trial, right? Like in the traditional sense. But for a hybrid trial, there really is no difference between a hybrid virtual trial and a traditional trial, other than sometimes the patients come to the office, other times they don't. But the budget should be the same for those studies. And it actually is the case. Like, take all these studies that are ongoing right now as an example. Very few of these are virtual studies. But if the sites are able to implement these things and pass the cost of the sponsor, I mean, they're still getting the same budget that they were getting, maybe even more now because it's increased cost.
Yeah, I was going to mention that transportation and just driving to the patient. that will be an increasement on the budget. But yeah, it's possible. I mean, I have seen a lot of those studies for mental health. I have seen a lot of studies going on, and the ones.
So Alzheimer's, and then just CNS. What kind of studies in the CNS have you been seeing?
So I have seen schizophrenia, autism more than before, ADHD, tardive. I forgot the name.
Tourette's?
No. Oh yeah, Tourette's. I saw 2 of those studies. Not many, but yeah, 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I have seen. I also saw another one that is schizophrenia, but it's agitation due to schizophrenia. They are tasting that the same medication they are tasting for Alzheimer's, for agitation due to Alzheimer's. They are tasting it also in patients with schizophrenia, and then for post-traumatic syndrome. That's the one I was going to say. PTSD. I have seen
PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah, and what else? For bipolar depression. I mean, those are the ones that comes to my mind, and a lot of pediatrics. A lot of pediatric studies, also for mental health.
So the opposite end of the spectrum. So those ones not so much at risk. Now, what about non-psych? What have you seen non-psych? Because sites are listening right now or watching, and they're saying, "Hey, I need to start applying for studies. What these guys are telling us right now is a good idea. What should they be applying for?"
I have seen a lot of NASH studies.
NASH, okay.
Disease, a lot of GI studies. Crohn's disease, also
significant amount of GI.
Yeah, a good amount of GI studies. and for endocrinology too, a lot of studies.
And what are they saying? They're saying that these studies are planned to get started when? Like, what are they telling you?
So for
They're planning.
some, I guess the majority is in between July to September. That's the plan they have. And but I mean, we even have a site selection visit conference called this week. So so I don't think it's really stopping. I mean, it's slower, and they are finding another ways, but still going.
Many of them aren't even giving a date when they're going to start. So they're probably just playing it by ear for when this all ends, right? It's just on
That's
pause
right.
until this is over. Not to change the topic, Dan, but I do have a question for you. So I'm sending out this justification. Remember this time point in case you want to take this out.
I won't.
Okay. That justification letter you sent from Creo. I'm just going to leave it in there. They have some Creo stuff in there. I'm just going to let everybody know it's from one of our friendly vendors.
Yeah. That'd be good because I saw that this morning and I was like, you know what, this is good ideas for sites. So that's another thing sites can do. It's
What's
actually
what's a good way to phrase that? Friendly vendor? What's a better way to put that?
helpful vendor,
Collaborative colleague?
one of our trusted vendors.
Trusted vendor, there you
We should probably ask Ray if it's okay though. I'm sure he'll
go.
say
I'm sure he's fine with it.
okay. It's on the record that it's Chris. But you
Yep.
know what? That's actually it's not off topic. It's not off topic actually because that's another
It's free
thing.
advertising. I'm sorry.
Sure.
I keep changing the subject, but it's free advertising. You've got to be happy with this.
Yeah, of course.
Would it be? But you know what? It's not off topic. You didn't change the topic because this is things sites could be doing right now to better themselves. It's not just getting new studies and making their source data accessible somehow for monitors and finding a way to see their patients during this crisis, but also renegotiating their budgets. What tools are you bringing in? Are you bringing in Esource? That would be good. Because why is Esource good? Because it gives you access to it's an
Remotely.
easier way to give the CRA access to the study documents without you having to upload. It's not going to make seeing the patients any easier using Esource. I mean, you're still going to have to do telehealth somehow, and whether you're writing it down on a tablet or on a piece of paper, I don't think it's a huge value add, but I think the value add is access to monitors for the Esource and working together in groups remotely maybe. Like if Monica's in Irvine, I'm in Anaheim, Chris is in Corona, and we're all seeing the same, let's say we're from the same site and we're doing a different assessment. It's easy because Monica doesn't have to scan to me the source so that I can do it and then scan to Chris and then somehow everybody gets it at the end. And then you have like three different things. It's eSource, so everybody gets their access and they do their assessment and it's just done. So that's another value add. I think Creo is going to do really well after this pandemic.
Yeah.
So what else so we're going to talk about? Because we have this webinar coming up next week. We have to bless you. We have training your staff. Okay, Monica. So sites want to train their staff. We have people getting hired in the industry. I mean, believe it or not, people are getting hired in new jobs. Most of them have experience, but some don't. I know people, I talk to them on LinkedIn, on Instagram, they get hired like research naive, usually at the site level. So, staff training becomes a thing that sites need to focus on, right? And so, the CRC Academy, I mean, we give all of our clients a discount on the CRC Academy, or if you're a healthcare provider, you get a half off of the
For the
CRC
May class.
just for May. Did you know that, Chris? This is what we're doing. I don't know if Chris knows.
We'll say it again. I'm sorry. I was typing on.
I'll let Monica explain it.
So we want to give back to the community, and for May class, we're giving the healthcare practitioners and the people that are in right now in the front line 50% off
Oh yeah.
the tuition fee.
Yeah, you
So
told me that.
Yeah, we have been receiving messages and a lot of phone calls, emails, so a lot of interest right now in the industry.
I mean, kind of on this topic, Dan and I both received a billing notification today. It was 2/3 the regular price. What was that about?
Oh, it's because it was a healthcare practitioner, but she's not in the front line. So we
So she
still
doesn't
give
get
that.
half off; she gets a third off.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Hey,
fair enough.
Monica
It still works. Yeah.
Monica makes good results, but hey, you know what? Online classes are, I mean, people now are going to think, okay, sites are going to think, okay, I need to train my staff. I'm either going to do it in-house or develop my own curriculum. You know, that's a good point because if you're like, let's say you're a busy research site, okay, and even the busiest ones are not at full staffed right now in the office. They're like half staffed at best, right? Like, meaning you come in today, this guy comes in tomorrow. Not everybody comes in at the same time. So it's hard to do a training, like a hands-on training of new staff. So you almost have no other option but to do virtual training, which is why the CRC Academy has been blowing up. CRA Academy, which is not even for training your staff if you're a site, it's for training people that want to get into the industry. That's been going crazy. So I think these online, there's a lot of things that are going to remain after this is over, which it will end. Everything ends and everything begins. Uh, but elements of our new habits will be here. You know, I think these kind of meetings are going to be more prevalent also, like site selection visits, SIVs. I mean, you don't need to be in person to do a site selection visit.
No. Mm-mm.
You don't even
I
need
mean,
to be a SIV.
if you have the video of the tour and if you have this, I mean, opportunity to do this communication, then I mean, what else do you need to see? For the site selection visit, I think this actually will save money for the sponsors.
Let's
I
receive
agree.
another. Let's receive another payment, Monica. They forwarded it to you.
Hey, on cue. Sure, right on cue. We got another student that joined, so this is
I don't
good.
know if that's another student or paying up what they owe.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's from the current class. Who knows?
Right,
Who knows?
right.
But the
I don't
CRC
know. That's for
Academy,
Monica to figure out. I forwarded it on.
The payment today, I mean, I have to check it out
Yeah, I
because
just sent
I've been sending, oh yeah, this is a current, well, this is actually a student that was enrolled for April, but what happened was that she works in a nursing home. She's a nurse, and so she's in the front line, and she
definitely
couldn't
frontline.
attend to the class, so she transferred to the May class.
much better career path for her here. She's not going to be on the front line.
Yeah,
She'll live longer.
so we have two students that were enrolled in the previous class that couldn't attend because they were in the front line and they are transferred to the May class now.
Good way to think about your health. You're getting into a safer profession.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, both of them were interested from long time ago, but but then happened, so it makes it even more encouraging to move to I mean, a career that's safer, and then it's safer in many ways because now people are giving a lot of attention. I mean, in when they are trying to find a job right now is still very good in our industry. I actually I spoke to two of our previous students. Jackie, she used to work in University of Colorado, but you know that she had a baby and all this stuff, and then she started applying in different jobs, and she got interviews for these jobs online interviews, and she also got offered another opportunity in the University of Colorado. So I mean, three opportunities, just one for one person.
Yeah, there's all this talk about this backlog of activity that's going to eventually turn on in the industry. So it's going to be like, I think the second half of the year is going to be super busy time. I think between now and July is going to be like a transition of slowly reopening, gradually between April and June, July, gradual. Everybody's going to start coming slowly back to normal. With masks. I think masks are here the rest of the year. Definitely, the masks are definitely coming back in the winter. I think because this virus is going to come back during the cold months, right? I think one thing people are not talking enough about is the summer. I think the summer is like in our favor, the warm weather. I actually talked to like 5 doctors this last week who study this stuff, and they said, yeah, the warmer weather definitely has. It looks like it has a lot to do with it, with the transmission of the disease. Once it's in your body, it's in your body, no matter what temperature is outside.
Right.
But like to transmit it,
Now that you mentioned that, I wonder what's going to happen with the countries that are the opposite, that they are transitioning to winter.
the theory is it's gonna get bad now in the southern hemisphere, like Australia. You know, that's the theory. That's the warm weather, cold weather theory. But it makes sense because the common cold, which is also coronavirus, right, usually comes around winter months, right, like colder.
Yeah.
But the 2 reasons behind why that is, right? It's not that the heat kills the virus. It's not why. Because more people are outside. They're not inside and confined with one another, so they don't readily pass it, right? With all this confined crap, you have no choice but to pass it on, right? If you get it, but they're trying to prevent you from getting it to start with. And then secondly, when you transmit it, like via a cough, a sneeze, something like that, when it's cooler out, it goes much further, right? When you sneeze, it can reach as far as 12 feet, right? You can infect somebody 12 feet away when it's cold out. When it's hot out, it's like a foot. It falls instantly, the virus.
Interesting.
Oh,
Yeah.
how interesting.
Those are the 2 reasons. Watch a lot of YouTube videos on this. Those are the 2 reasons why in summer it doesn't transmit as well.
And that could be why that
Kill
could
it.
be why in California it didn't spread like what they were expecting. I mean,
Right.
we should have, if you just go by numbers, California should have the most cases and most deaths because it's the highest population, right? And it doesn't. It's like number 7 on both of those lists or something like that.
Sure.
So that makes no sense. It's not just about population. I think weather has something to do with it.
And I'd like to go back to something you had said as far as, there's going to be kind of an explosion with the business.
I think so.
I would like to add something to that. I think this is one of the optimal times for you to be a research naive physician and get started in research.
I was going to say that. Totally agree.
Yeah, an overburden on the established physicians. So, they're still going to want to use somebody, these sponsors, to get their study done. So, research naive.
We need to take on that point and expand on it for the rest of these 17 minutes because that alone is a podcast in and of itself. So, Chris, put down the Diet Snapple and explain one more time. I'm just kidding. But that's such a good point. That's such a good point.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just to reiterate what I just said. You have sponsors that can only take on or not sponsors. You have physicians as PIs can only take on so many studies, right? And as soon as they meet their threshold, their limit, it's no more for them, right? No bueno, no good, right? No more. So it's difficult for sponsors to find enough sites when there's an overburden of studies, right? It's just like in economics, right? In which the prices go up when there's limited quantity, right? When there's demand, high demand, and limited quantity, prices go up. Same thing in research.
Supply and demand, yeah.
Exactly. Supply and demand here, right? The supply is going to be overwhelming, and the demand on the investigator side is going to be limited.
So the supply, you're saying for the people that are confused, the supply of studies is going to be overwhelming.
Exactly. Yes, supply of studies is going to be overwhelming.
And on top of that, some sites are closing. So
that's another thing. Some of these some of these established sites that, you know what, we always tell sites, Chris, you and I have this conversation during normal times with potential clients all the time. Hey, have 3 to 6 months of like, you're not desperate, right? Like you're not relying on right. Have 3 to 6 months of cash on hand. Like if you're just starting out, you gotta expect maybe even 9 months when you're a new site. But when you're existing site, you need like 3 to 6 months of cash at least. And we saw a lot of sites.
A threshold to take on any kind of unforeseen event.
That's right. And we've seen a lot of sites that do very well that did not have this cash cushion, right? They either overhired and now they have to furlough everyone, or overhired and continue to pay these people. So they're running out of their cash. So a lot of these established sites, not a lot, but some of these, a good percentage of these established sites are going to be shutting down. And that's going to put more pressure on that supply of studies and demand. So you're right. It's never been better to be a research naive physician in clinical research.
If you thought in the past of getting involved. Yep, now's the time to do it.
Yeah, I think this is the perfect timing for that.
Wow, that should be a quote. I'm going to send that to Carlos. And then we're going to run ads on, what did our Sean teach us? Geotag Doctor.
Yeah.
You could geotag doctors seriously. And then this kind of is related to what we talked about last week with you want more patients? We need more research naive physicians. And a lot of these physicians don't even realize the potential they have sitting in their database.
Yeah, and we can train their staff.
And we have the solution for everything.
We make it easy for everybody.
We have the solution for everything. And then we actually have a new business Chris and I are going to discuss, but we're not on the air, but we need to talk to you about. So maybe tomorrow, after our meetup tomorrow. What do you think, Chris? Tomorrow, I have an interview. I've been doing a lot of Skype. Yeah, we all got muted. Yeah, we all got muted. But tomorrow we're gonna talk to Monica about this as well.
Okay.
But not,
we schedule already the bonus class for the CRC Academy is going to be Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time.
Okay. What is that gonna be?
Ashley.
Oh, with Ashley. Okay, talking about building your LinkedIn profile. See, that's another thing sites should be doing. Like the doctor we talked to, Chris, he doesn't have a LinkedIn profile. Like, but he's very much involved, or getting very much involved in research. You know, when he started with us, he was research naive a couple of years back. Now he's got a good amount of studies. Now he's getting into other indications. He needs a LinkedIn profile. So we kind of need to teach more of these physicians the opportunities that are there, and then we need people like Monica and like us to actually help them do it, because doctors, they don't have time, right? They don't have time for most things. And that's the reason, by the way, why sponsors don't use research naive physicians, because they don't have the time either to train them.
Yep.
But we do.
That's a good prelude to what we're going to discuss tomorrow with Monica.
Yeah. So tomorrow on this meetup, depends how many people are on. We'll either talk about that, or we'll just see what other people are saying on the daily meetup, right? Yep. Anything else you guys want to add for this podcast?
No. George, do you have anything to add? We know you're listening. You muted us all. Feel free to add anything.
Yeah. Otherwise, I will end the recording. Thank you guys for listening and watching, and we'll catch you all later.